Hello, and welcome to Mind Matters Expert, your trusted space for understanding human behavior, strengthening your mindset, and protecting your emotional well-being. Let me ask you something before we begin. Have you ever thought a relationship was finally over, only for that person to suddenly reappear with apologies, memories, or emotional messages that left you confused all over again? If so, stay with me, because today's topic may explain exactly what was happening. Ending a relationship with a narcissist rarely feels final. Just when you begin to heal, regain clarity, and rebuild your sense of self, they often reappear, suddenly, kinder, nostalgic, or even remorseful. This tactic is known as hoovering. The term comes from the vacuum cleaner brand Hoover, because the goal is exactly that: to suck you back into the relationship and regain control, attention, or emotional supply. Hoovering doesn't always look obvious or aggressive. In fact, it often comes disguised as love, concern, or closure. Here, I am going to tell you 5 common phrases narcissists use to hoover you back, what they really mean, and why they're so effective. As you listen, notice if any of these sound familiar from your own experience. So, what is hoovering? Hoovering is a manipulation strategy used after distance, conflict, or a breakup. It can happen days, months, or even years later. Narcissists tend to hoover when they feel a loss of control, when their ego has been wounded, when their current source of attention has dried up, or when they sense that you are moving on with your life. The goal is not genuine reconciliation, it's re-engagement. 1. I've changed. I finally see what I did wrong. This phrase is one of the most powerful hoovering tools because it targets your hope. Why it works? It works because you want to believe the pain you went through wasn't pointless. You crave validation for everything you endured, and on the surface, this statement sounds like real accountability. What it really means? In most cases, there's no evidence of long-term change, only words. Narcissists often say this without therapy, consistent effort, or behavioral proof. The change usually lasts just long enough to pull you back in. Remember, real change is shown through sustained actions, not emotional speeches. 2. No one understands me like you do. This phrase places you on a pedestal while subtly assigning you responsibility for their emotional well-being. Why it works? It works because it makes you feel special and irreplaceable. It taps directly into your empathy and loyalty, and it can also trigger guilt for leaving or pulling away. What it really means? They aren't saying you're loved, they're saying you're useful. This phrase reinforces emotional dependence and positions you as the only person who can save or soothe them. Healthy love does not rely on emotional captivity. I miss us. We were so good together. Notice the vagueness here. There are no specifics, no accountability, just nostalgia. Why does this work? Well, it works because it brings back those selective memories, minimizes the abuse or conflict, and reframes the relationship as something that was, mostly good. But what does it really mean? This is revisionist history. Narcissists often rewrite the past to erase the pain they caused, focusing on the highs rather than the actual patterns. The good times become bait to pull you back into the same cycle. Missing a moment does not mean the relationship was healthy. I'm really struggling right now. This phrase is designed to activate your caretaker instinct. Why does it work? Well, it works because you don't want to seem heartless. You feel responsible for their pain, and you probably fear being seen as the bad one. But what does it really mean? Your empathy is being used as leverage. While everyone struggles at times, narcissists often exaggerate or even weaponize vulnerability to regain access to you, without any intention of mutual emotional support. You are not required to sacrifice your healing to rescue someone who hurt you. Can we just talk? I need closure. This sounds reasonable, mature, and harmless, but honestly, it rarely is. Why does it work? It works because the situation feels unfinished. You want clarity and peace, and you convince yourself that just one conversation won't hurt. But what does it really mean? For a narcissist, closure often means reopening the door. The conversation may turn into blame shifting, gaslighting, love bombing, or emotional manipulation. True closure comes from understanding the pattern, not re-entering it. If they genuinely wanted closure, they wouldn't keep reopening wounds. Why hoovering is so confusing. You see, hoovering works because it blends truth with lies, affection with guilt, and apologies with manipulation. This combination creates emotional whiplash, pulling you back into self-doubt just as you are finding clarity. How to protect yourself. Protecting yourself really starts by watching actions rather than words. It means setting firm boundaries or choosing no contact if that's possible for you. It also helps to delay responding because, honestly, urgency almost always favors manipulation. Grounding yourself in the reasons you left can restore clarity, and talking things through with someone who sees the situation clearly can help you stay anchored. Healing requires distance, not re-engagement. So the conclusion is, if someone truly changes, they respect boundaries, even when it means losing access to you. Hoovering isn't about love, growth, or closure. It's about control. You're not cruel for refusing to be pulled back in. You're choosing peace. And, before we wrap up, I'd love for you to reflect. Have you noticed any of these phrases being used on you in the past? Awareness is the first step toward freedom. Thank you so much for watching today's video on Mind Matters Expert. If you enjoyed this content and found it useful, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with someone who might benefit, and subscribe to the channel for more videos on personal growth, mindset mastery, and practical tips for a better life. If you have any questions or want to share your experiences, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear how you're applying these insights in your life. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay empowered.